What's going on, everybody? My name's Rob. Welcome to my new channel, The Kentucky Chew, where we are going to be talking about bourbon, if you couldn't tell. And I know what you're thinking. You clicked on this video by accident. Hang on, wait till the end. I promise I'll try to make this as entertaining as possible. Um, so yeah, here we are, year 2024, and I'm just now getting into this. This is a whole new world for me. When I say that, I'm talking YouTube, really social media, and I just kind of got a crazy thought, and I decided to jump in and start doing this. So yeah, here's the backstory. Like I said, my name's Rob. I'm Kentucky born and raised, and I still reside in Kentucky. And if you think bourbon, you're generally thinking Kentucky, which is fair. A lot of history with bourbon, and so it's still at the top of the pinnacle when it comes to producing and putting out this product that we all know and love. And so I've always been drawn to it, just naturally drawn to bourbon, the stories of it. I grew up in an area where all the major distilleries are, and so yeah, to me it's just always kind of been a part. Now I will say, wasn't until college when, of course I waited till I was 21 to start drinking, right? And I already started kind of like really enjoying it then. Drank it a lot differently then than I do now, I will say, but it was still the product that I was reaching for. Fast forward, graduate college, and that's when I started kind of getting into enjoying it neat. Had some friends who already had been collecting for years and let me enjoy some fantastic products, stuff that I probably shouldn't have even been drinking because I couldn't truly appreciate it at that moment. And I was hooked. I mean, I was just all in. And so 5 years ago, here I am. I don't know what mash bill is. I don't know, you know, what. I didn't know there was Eagle Rare 17, right? I didn't know what what the top of the products were they were putting out. Four Roses, not familiar with like all the best products that they have. Woodford, stayed far away from Woodford, right? Because for some reason, someone at one time told me you shouldn't buy Woodford. And so that's kind of like where I was. I was only buying certain bottles. They were all allocated bottles, and I got really burnt out on it. Kind of lost my way of what I was doing. But I am an all-in kind of person, and so I was spending a lot of money and just buying bottles that I don't regret. I do love my collection, and I appreciate it. But I've learned a lot along the way, and so that's what's kind of led me here to this channel. Now, there's already fantastic channels out there. I watch a lot of them, and years ago they were saying some of the things that I'm gonna be saying now, but it's 2024 and it's just gotten harder, and the allocation, the pricing on everything. I mean, if you've bought a few bottles already this year, you know what I'm talking about. And so I just wanted to come on here, and for me, I wanted to make bourbon fun again because that's what it should be. If you've seen the documentary Neat, you definitely know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, don't stop watching this. Finish till the end. Hit that like button, and then go watch you that documentary Neat. It is fantastic, and that's how I enjoy bourbon. That's what I envision when I think of it, and the memories, sharing it, the history of the product, history of how it was created. There's different theories with it. All of them are very intriguing, and so I started collecting pretty heavily again at the end of 2023. My wife noticed me coming home more and more with the boxes filled with stuff, and she's like, "Rob, what are you doing? Like, basement's getting full. Can't even count how many bottles you have at this point. Like, what's the game plan?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, babe. If we ever fall in hard times, we'll just sell it." I'm not gonna sell it, but that's what I told her. So, but no, I jokingly was like, "Well, maybe I'll start a YouTube channel." And I said it out loud. Thought about it for a second. I was like, "Why not? This is my way to enjoy my collection, enjoy it with people, because that's what I want to do." And so that's what you can expect here. Expect on this channel. Now, what are we going to be doing? We're going to be doing reviews, obviously. What I'll say with that is I'm not the most experienced taster. I've watched numerous and numerous videos. I'm not quite sure at what level you have to get to where you can start tasting the difference between old leather and new leather. I'll take your all's word on it. I'm not saying you can't. I'm definitely not there yet. I've heard some pretty wild tasting notes like peaches drizzled in honey, topped with confetti sugar. And if you get that when you're drinking bourbon, that's pretty awesome. And I really hope that one day I do taste a bourbon and that's the first thing that I taste. What I will say is I do genuinely love the product. And so, I think I'm going to learn a lot more by doing this and actually enjoying my collection. And so, but I just wanted to be transparent with you all. Definitely not an expert when it comes to that. Now, what I will say, I've got to experience and taste a lot of high-end bottles that, you're typically not going to see on a shelf. So I wouldn't say that I'm a rookie by any means. But again, just want to be transparent and honest about how my journey has been so far. Gonna do a lot of blind tastings. I love blind tastings. Now, I won't be doing anything crazy. I see people who do like 10, 12 bourbons. I'm not gonna do that because I'll be sleeping on the floor more than likely by the end of the video, and you're not gonna even understand what I'm saying by the end of it. So, I will be doing blinds. I will limit how many glasses are in that, but I think that's the best way to taste bourbon and truly see how a new release or a new bottle or a bottle you've never tasted lines up with the products that you do have. I think everyone has a little bit of biasness towards certain bottles. There are some marketing geniuses out there. If you don't feel that way, you're probably lying to yourself, right? Like, do you really think Blanton's is the best bourbon in the world? I mean, look, at one point, I thought it was like the top of the top, right? It's like, I remember when I got my first one, I'm like, I did it. I can retire now. I'm done collecting bourbon. Put it in a few blinds, and for some reason, it just kept getting last place. I'm not saying it's bad. I still think it's a good bourbon. It's just, would I pay the secondary pricing all the time for it? Absolutely not. So we're going to do blinds. And then I'm going to try to find all the new releases I can, all the new bottles that are coming out, let you all know what I think about those. And we're just going to have fun. Like I said, I'm going to enjoy it. Hopefully I can bring some of my friends on here. I don't know if they're camera shy or not, but I truly think the best way to enjoy bourbon is with family and friends. The memories, the stories that come from it. And so, really appreciate you all tuning in. Let's get to chewing. All right. So, very first episode, wanted to do something a little bit special. As you can see here, I was fortunate enough to get my hands on an Old Forester 1924 10-year-old bourbon. And man, I love Old Forester. This is one, so I mentioned earlier, biasness, marketing. I was pretty much sure I was going to get my hands on this one way or the other. Like I said, this has not been out too long. We're at the end of January here now. So I didn't even know this was coming out. I know a lot of other people did. I have not kept up with like news or anything like that. Like I said, I just kind of got back into this at the end of last year and had no idea. So of course I start seeing this on social media. I knew I was going to buy it. And so, like I said, fortunate that I did get my hands on it. Old Forester, man, if you haven't had an Old Forester product, if you're just not getting into this, I'm going to give you some advice that someone gave to me back when I first started collecting. And like I said, I was only going after bottles you couldn't find on this shelf. Go get you a bottle of Old Forester 1910 or 1920. Like seriously, right after this video. When I sat down and tasted that for the first time, my mind was essentially blown. Like that was the first time I truly got a tasting note from a bourbon, and it was fantastic. And when I say other than oak, vanilla, right, all the tobacco, the normal things you're gonna taste usually, but man, the sweetness that they have in these is fantastic. So what's cool about this, obviously, so part of their Whiskey Row series, 1870, 1897, 1910, 1920. And but this is the first one, so this is 1924 again, first age dated one for them on the Whiskey Row, which is really cool, 10 years old. And check out the story that they have of why they released this. So that's what I looked up very first. And so it goes back to Prohibition. Old Forester was one of the few distilleries that was allowed to remain open for medicinal reasons. And during that time, they had to blend whiskeys and things to put out the product. And so this is a different mash bill than what they typically do. Can't remember it off the top of my head. I believe it's 79% corn, which is higher than the other Whiskey Row series. And so, to me, that means it's probably going to be even sweeter, at least have the opportunity to. And, but we'll find out here soon. So I'll note the mash bill for you in the video after this. Obviously, Google's a great resource for everything. But you can also tell this has been opened. Now, I'm not one to wait around for things. And so when I got home with this bad boy was popped. So I have tasted it, but I'm going to taste it live and give you all what I think. It's been a few weeks since I have tried it. So, yeah, let's give it a pour. Should be enough. So, ranking. Let me tell you what I plan on doing. I think the best way you can rank bourbon is 1 through 10. I know some channels and some websites and stuff do 5. With how much bourbon and whiskey's out there these days, I don't see how I could put it all in 5. I feel like I would just end up saying a lot of 3s and 3.5s, and so there's just too much out there. I think that just starts to put them all in too small of a category. Sorry, I had to take a smell. I was already getting a whiff of it, and just it smells awesome. And the color. So look at the color. So this is darker. Pretty sure it's a little bit darker than the rest of the Old Forester Whiskey Row line, but man, that color is nice. How I'm going to be ranking all the bourbons that I taste that I'm going to give a ranking on, I'm not going to include price in my ranking. I'll talk about price. It is important, I think. I don't think it's fair to include price, especially because of secondary market. For instance, I don't even know if this is released everywhere in the United States. My gut is I doubt it. And so you may never be in the opportunity where you can buy this for even what retail is. And so I think if we start to let price be included in a review, we're going to miss the point. And the point is, what's inside? Is it good? Is it not good? Right? Like, that's pretty cut or dry when it gets to that point. But, there's obviously different levels to it. And so there's fantastic $30 bottles of bourbon out there. There's fantastic $500 bottles of bourbon. Are they worth it? I'll give you my opinion, but it's not gonna weigh in on how I enjoy the bourbon or how I taste it or what I think about it. It should be about what the product's inside. So, smell, taste, finish. That's what we're gonna be ranking. Smells fantastic. It's everything that I would expect an Old Forester bourbon to smell like. I'm definitely getting some sweet. There's like a hint of, hold on. The slightest of like cinnamon. Very slight. I definitely, like a chocolatey-ish chocolate. I'm not going to be able to differentiate like the chocolate too much for you, but like I definitely think I'm getting a little bit of that. All right. Yeah, smell enough. I got to taste this again. Wow. Wow. Man, I love Old Forester. I don't know if I've said that already. Gosh, that was good. And I just held it in the mouth for just a little while, and like some kind of sweet bomb went off. I'm not sure even what yet happened, but it was very good. Yeah, so you know it's the name Kentucky Chew. We're going to chew our bourbon. I'll explain that maybe in a different video, but I read it somewhere. It's pretty catchy. My goodness. That is really good. Definitely for me, I'm still getting a little bit of the chocolatey flavor in the taste, and I mean just overall sweetness. I don't know if I can differentiate for myself too much of a different flavor. Some people are just really good at searching for the different flavor profiles I get in it. I didn't mention this earlier, but this is 100 proof, so a lot of your experienced drinkers are like in the 120, 130s, and like they start getting lower than that, and stuff just starts tasting for like water for them. They're always comparing it to those higher ends, which is fair. Once you've tasted a lot of things, I mean, you're gonna want something that packs a little bit more. But 100 proof is definitely still a sweet spot for me. I love 10 year, so like Eagle Rare, is one of those bourbons that got me into this. I say that because that's what I always think of when I think of a 10-year-old bourbon. But um, comment for me what your favorite 10-year-old bourbon. I'd be interested to know. Might be one I haven't tried yet. But 100 proof, 10 years old. That is really good. Yeah, for me, it's just like the chocolatey, the sweetness, maybe just the ever slightest hint of cinnamon, but like not overpowering by any means. So not in like a bad way. Too much cinnamon for me, honestly. I'm not gonna have PTSD from Fireball. Not about it. Don't like it. Don't want that overly cinnamon profile. But this is good, you know. And then so smells great, tastes is great, finish. I will say, one thing that I really like is like a good finish, the mouthy feel that lingers for a little while. I hate to say it, I think this one kind of disappears a little bit on me. Not much hanging around, and I would like a little bit of a stronger finish if I'm being honest. Like I said, 100 proof. Can't expect too much, but yeah, that's good. I'm stuck on the chocolate right now, which I don't get a lot in a lot of bourbon. So, um, ranking. I'm gonna be pretty tough. First one. I want to set the tone. I'm not gonna just throw out high end numbers out there. And so I should say this: a five is, if I say five or above, that means I'm recommending it, and I'll give a better breakdown of what I'm ranking. But I'm gonna give this a 6.5. 6.5 out of 10. Here's why. Um, it smells great. It tastes good. It just leaves so quickly for me. With this being my first review this year, I am confident that I'm going to taste things that are closer into the sevens and eights, and I want to leave the eights for like really, really good products that you maybe can get your hands on. I don't want to give just an 8 to anyone, so like on my ranking scale, a 6.5 is very good. I would highly recommend trying this bourbon. I really think you should, especially if you're getting into tasting bourbon and drinking it neat. This would be very easy for you to enjoy and warm up to. So there's our ranking, 6.5. That's what I would give this. And that's coming from someone who does love Old Forester. So let's talk price. All right, so that is going to be a little bit of a negative here, right? Like I said, I'm not letting that influence my ranking, but retail on this is $115, $120. That's not great. I mean, that's a lot of money when it comes to bourbon, and especially retail. Now, do I blame Old Forester? No. I mean, look, people were buying these products and then turning around and selling it for 2-3 times. It was just a matter of time. Distilleries were going to catch on and just, hey, obviously people are going to pay for it, right? And we continue to show that we will. Do I regret it? I don't. I don't regret paying what I did for it. For me, it's just all about the experience. I got to taste it. I don't hate it. Maybe if I hated the bourbon, I would feel like some kind of remorse. But I really like it. I do think it is too high when you get into that. I would, if this was closer into that $80 range, this would probably be a pretty consistent purchase for me. Now, is it going to be able to? I don't know. So what they've said so far is this is an annual release, and we don't know what that means right now. Is that once a year? Is that multiple times a year? It is on the Whiskey Row series, which all of those are readily available. You know, if they are sold where you're at, you should be able to walk in the store and get one. You know, the 1920 is like 60 something dollars, so we're looking at almost double for this one. So it is a steep jump. That's where I'm gonna leave that. You know, it's a good bourbon. Really glad I got my hands on it. Gonna be sharing this with friends so that they can try it out too, get their feedback, and we'll put it in a blind. We're gonna pair this up, see how it holds up against some of the bottles that I already have. But well, folks, that's all I've got for this first video. Like I said, really appreciate you tuning in. This is the Kentucky Chew. Happy chewing.